excuse me, the state of Black children and the state of Black education. And so we're super excited to dive into this topic. We are obviously not going to uncover all of the nuances, but we are eager to talk about how it's impacting those students who are underserved. And so I am super excited to be able to do that, and am eager to discuss it with Eva, who is the founder of Black on Black Ed. So grab a friend, tell a friend. If you know they are educating Black babies, or if you know they have Black babies, then they probably need to be here. Morning, Kyra. How are you? We are getting ready to go live, talk about the state of education for our underserved students, particularly Black students, because those are the babies that are near and dear to my heart, and those are the babies that will continue to uplift even amidst this struggle. How you been doing? How has your Monday started off? Oh, I love it. She said blessed. I think this is a time where we need to ground ourselves in the things that revive us and give us joy. And so if that is religion for you, if that is spirituality for you, I think this is such a high time, such a needed time to kind of lean into that. So amen to that, sis. I'm blessed too. Morning, Noemi. We have Noemi in here, the founder of Pavone Firm. She is doing amazing work. Her word to kick off the day is grounded, and I love that. I think it's so important to ground yourself in the work that is happening, and ground yourself in the things that make you whole and healthy. This is a really challenging season, so it is so important that we as individuals prioritize our self-care, prioritize our mental wellness, because things are shaky. And when things are shaky, it's easy to lose your footing. So I love hearing from two women that are always uplifting me, that they are both blessed and grounded. That is super inspirational. I think if I had to pick a word for the morning, I would say ready. Last week was a tough week for me, and I think it's so important to be transparent because we all have off weeks, and last week was one of them. But this has been a much better start to the week, and we're here. So we are ready to discuss this topic. I'm just waiting for our co-host to join us. So hang tight. We will be back in a sec. Just really waiting. But yeah. So what is one thing that you want to get done today? What's one goal that you have for yourself? If you could get anything done today, what would it be? Thank you so much, Noemi. She said, love that you're doing these. Keep shining. Sis, I'm just trying to offer up what I can. You know what I mean? I think in moments like this, we all at times feel stuck. What do I do to help? And so this is just my little way of trying to help. I think if we can start having conversations, it can ease some of the anxiety, right? So we are just trying to provide platforms where folks can talk about the tough stuff. I had asked, what's a goal for the day? What's one thing you want to get done today? And one of our followers shared that she wants to get through all of her meetings. And I think, yes, sis, that's the goal of the day. Just push through and get through. And I love that she, in particular, has her own consulting firm called Radiance Consulting, I believe, and they are working to support teachers during the time. So I think, whatever your work is, figuring out how you can pivot and how you can just be of service to those that are on the front lines. And us educators are having a go at it, right? Because we're trying to figure out, what does online learning look like in this time? And it is definitely different. Morning. Thank you. That is Radiant Educational Services. Please check them out. They're doing great work here in Atlanta and nationwide. So they are a great firm to check out if you are in need of educational consulting services. And they do a ton of things. But I think it's so important to uplift others in the work. Morning, Swanny Swan girl. How are you? It is so good to see you. I hope your Monday is kicking off right. And I hope that in the midst of all that is going on, today is an incredibly productive and positive day for you. Ah, that's awesome. She said she is doing well. And anytime, Kyra, anytime. So I'm going to go ahead and ask, or name rather, just a few of the questions that we'll kind of be talking about this morning. And the first one is like, how have you seen COVID-19 affect students of color, particularly Black students? Because today we are trying to dig into how this pandemic is affecting Black students. My co-host is Morning, Boo.
Hello, hello.
How goes it?
It's going, man. I feel like just like everybody else, we're just trying to get through it.
I think that's the realest thing that we can share too, as like leaders within this field. Is like, this isn't easy for anyone, whether you're a teacher, a parent, in the medical field, or in politics. Like, this is a tough time.
Absolutely. And I think for like schools, teachers, this is changing the way that we do everything. And 3 weeks ago, we had no idea that this change was coming. And so it's definitely something we all have to, I don't even know we just have to roll with the punches at this point, and be of service to each other so that we can roll with the punches a little bit easier.
That is so well said. I saw most of us have been on social media a lot more than probably normal, and I saw a Twitter post recently that was like really focusing in on how amazing the educational sector has responded to this crisis. Mm-hmm. Like, this is unprecedented, number one, but to see educators literally transition in a matter of days to take face-to-face learning to a digital platform has really been mind-blowing. So shout out to every educator that is working tirelessly to build online lessons, assessments, learning tools. Y'all are great, and y'all are truly on the front lines in a unique way. So your face.
Dad in the back.
Hey, Dad. I haven't seen you in a minute. How you been?
Very good, very good. I can't complain. The same, everything you guys just said, man. I think that within all of the mess, there's also significant opportunity. If we can transform the way we've transformed things, like you just said, in a matter of days, imagine what we can do if we sit here and we put our heads and our hearts together over the course of the coming months. There's plenty we can do, and I look forward to working with Restore More to reimagine education. This is the time. This is the time.
That's so true. I love that positive spin on it too. While the world is up in the air and it might feel a little chaotic, this is a time for us to challenge ourselves, for us to come out on the other side in a really different way. Because one of the things that I have seen is that overwhelmingly, institutions that may have seemed closed off to underserved communities are suddenly pivoting and flipping it on their head and being about the people. So I think that's a beautiful thing, and I think for us as citizens, it pushes us to hold those institutions accountable after this. Okay, you came through and you did this, now what? Because people are still going to be reeling after this for a while.
Absolutely. And I think a big part of it, so we're seeing corporations giving free internet and these different and doing these different things and coming together, and we're seeing humans realize how important it is to come together in this moment. And I think what we're doing is trying to call and have a conversation about what we as humans need to do so that everybody makes it out on the other side of this. Because there's just so many factors into how this pandemic is affecting the education sector, and then especially affecting students who are already in a space where they weren't getting the education they needed physically in the classroom. And so now they're not even physically in the classroom, and we're seeing schools realize, oh wait, there are students who only eat at school. We need to have something. We need to have something to help those kids. Some people, the only person that they had to talk to was their teacher. We need to figure out a way to make sure that they can still talk to their teacher. And so it's just super, super important that we come together and stay together for those reasons. And don't forget that it's not just a running out of toilet paper issue, which is an issue, but there are some people who toilet paper is the least of their worries because they don't have any anybody to watch their kids because they work at a supermarket. And so it's just so many different layers that have to be kind of picked apart and addressed.
I love that Kyra, who is tuning in, lifted up that this also like exposing generational issues, right? So generational issues of inequity, generational issues of poverty. It is exposing all of the issues that have been like bubbling up to the surface within underserved communities. And I think that it's causing folks to take more notice. Like, the reality is many students in this country, if not for school, would go without meals, right? And so the fact that in a first world country, we have this type of crisis going on, and that it's peeling back the layers and exposing, like, oh, not everything is all cookies and cream in America, like some may have thought, right? Even in our response efforts, we see that the impact of this issue is exposing a major wealth gap. I think that's really just like the nooks and crannies of it. Like, the wealthy are able to stock up, right? The wealthy are able to engage in digital learning because they may have 3 or 4 laptops in the house so that every kid has access. But the reality is, in underserved communities, especially in the community that I used to teach in, I know that tech is limited. And so I think about my families that may have 3 kids and there's 1 laptop, and mom is supposed to be working from home now and she's trying to use the laptop. So how does that fit in with the students' work and their expectations? It's really, really challenging for some of our folks to navigate. And I think we decided to do this talk to be a sounding board for those students, for those parents, for those families that just need people to understand, like, it's more than just toilet paper. It's more than a Lysol wipe. Like, my lights might get cut off next month. That is a reality for many of the families. So if I'm grappling with that, engaging in digital learning can be that much more challenging.
Absolutely. And then you guys with Restore More and your in tuneness with social and emotional learning, where's that piece coming from? Because if my parents don't understand what that is, and it's not something that's being brought up in our household, and the reason that I go to school, or a part of the reason that I go to school, is to get that emotional help that I need, and now I don't have it, and I'm isolated, and I feel closed and stuck. And I'm thinking about, like, I'm in New York, so I'm thinking about my students who are in a 400 square foot apartment with mom, brother, grandma, and baby sister, are supposed to be learning from a computer screen. And so it's kind of just like, this is it's crazy. Like, I don't think there is any other way to describe it, but it's crazy, and just like we said, there's super, super positive parts, and there's opportunity, but there's also fear and chaos and sadness. Like, I'm not going to even, I have my privileged college student sadness about my graduation and my last semester, and some people's sadness is coming from a place of, like, school is my escape from home, and now I don't have that. And how do I grapple with this, and how do I get through it? Because for some people, home is really hard.
So I'm so glad you asked that question. Here at Restore More, we focus on all things social emotional wellness. And so we train organizations on restorative practices, social emotional health, and things of that nature. And we're in an unprecedented time where people are being forced to be shut in. Mm-hmm. And, like, for the safety of others. Like, I'm all about the stay home challenge. Sit your butt at home. However, sitting at home looks different for you, for me, and for some of our kids. And I shared this with a colleague last week on a live, was like, if I was a child and I was at home, I would be absolutely distraught. At the time, as a kid, I lived with my mom, but I would spend weekends with my dad, and my mom would have to work because she is literally working now. Mm-hmm. So my mom would be at work, I would be with my dad, and my dad was horribly abusive. So I can't imagine, if I were to roll back the clock, be a child in this time, how I would would have survived because home wasn't fun. Home wasn't nice. School was my escape. And I think...
Home wasn't even safe.
It wasn't safe. Since it wasn't, I made it. Amen.
Yes,
however, I think what is challenging me and what has really been tugging at my heartstrings is that social emotional health is not a priority right now with school scope. And I get why, right? Like, no fault of teachers, no fault of districts, but they're trying to pump out, like, whole platforms and ways for kids to learn. So, like, that's enough in and of itself. However, what are our babies dealing with on a social, emotional level? Like, imagine, I go to school every single day. That's my routine. That's my pattern. I might gripe and complain, but when that is snatched from me and I have nothing, like, I can't go anywhere, I can't engage with my peers, what does that do to the psyche of a child? How does the stress that parents are feeling impact children? Because best believe that joint trickles down. I've had to really be mindful myself lately of the things I am saying around my son, what I'm listening to around my son. Like last week, I was like, we have to be more careful. He was like, because the Rona. He's 4. He's 4. Yeah. But the way he said it, right? He was like, the Rona. I was like, oh no. Like, he's been picking up on our conversations. He's perceptive, as all kids are. So they can feel that shift in energy. And the reality is, we all probably have a little bit of fear in us, and that's okay. I just think we have to, like, channel it in healthy ways. And one of the things that we're really excited to share, and, like...
Definitely feel that, and we're working on what